get it. What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, SchuZ Shoemaker, and I mentioned that we have a very stacked show today. There's going to be two big-time guests joining me, but to kick off the show, I've got a very special guest. He is now the WBA super lightweight world champion. He's 18-1, Gary Antuanne Russell. Gary, appreciate taking time to come on today, man.
Thank you for having me, really.
Absolutely, man. Well, we got to get right to the beginning portion of this. I know we were talking a little bit backstage now, but I know you've got your belt, I believe, now. Take us to emotions. What's it like now having officially a world championship belt?
Oh, man, it's a dream come true. I mean, of course, you got to have the mentality to keep going, and have that whole the sky's the limit type of thing. It's three more belts out there. So once you get one, it's like, I need to get the rest of them. I need to get the next, and the next, and the next, until you eventually be undisputed. But right now, I'm just trying to take all of the glory in. It's been a long time coming. I'm just glad that I was able to represent not just my family, but the people that's been cheering me on from afar. I've been waiting for this level of success for me, genuinely. So like I said, I'm just taking it in. I'm happy and I'm proud of myself. Officially now, I can now say I'm proud of myself. Even though the job isn't fully done, I can still say I'm proud of myself because I accomplished something that my father was preparing me to accomplish.
So I got to ask you, though, because you grow up now, obviously as a boxer, and your main goal is to become a world champion. That's what everything is. And you've now accomplished that. And you're still young, and you're young in your career. You still got a lot more years you could fight. And so what kind of keeps you then kind of wanting to keep pushing through? What keeps you mentally so locked in? Like you said, I know there's undisputed, there's other things to accomplish, but for a lot of guys, this is the peak of boxing. You're a world champion now. So what keeps you mentally locked in?
Like I said, the journey isn't over. Be undisputed. I feel like once you be undisputed, that's when you can go up and weight, down and weight, and you do the whole thing again. You repeat it. A lot of people get in this sport because they love it. Some get in this sport because the financial gain. Some people get in it for all of it, the fame, what comes with the fame, the financial gain, etc. But ultimately, me as one of the sons, I felt like I had a big role to play, and I just wanted to always do my part as far as our family mission. My father's not being here is kind of like not kind of like it is. It's a tough pill to swallow because
Yeah.
now we just got to pick up where we left off without the original guidance. We got to wing it now and then go up with everything that he done instilled into us. So that alone is kind of like it feels as if we're doing things blindly, but we're really not. Which, like I said, we just picking up the pieces and continuing on and just keeping the legacy alive.
That's what's unique because as someone that's got a brother, I know that's a special bond to have it. And you guys have a lot of brothers there in that group there. And obviously, you guys become one of only 10 now siblings in the entire boxing history to become two world champions. And that's got to be a special thing to be able to share in that and now have your brother also in your corner being your trainer. Can you take me through that a little bit now? Like, what's it just like having this brotherhood and this bond between your family?
I mean, a lot of times when you have the coach and the fighter, it's like the two have to be in accordance. Like they gotta be on the same page. They gotta be in sync. You know what I mean? And a lot of times it takes for the fighter to empty himself and be vulnerable enough to listen to the coach instructions, go out there and do something blindly. Even if they don't believe in it because the coach is telling you to do it, you gotta do it and have belief in the instructions itself. I feel like a lot of times when you have coaches and the fighters gotta get used to another man other than their parent or someone that they grew up with giving them instructions. With me, it's different. I got brothers that's been in the game for years and since I've been doing it, years and years. And collectively, we are on the same page. I did have a small hiccup because it's a difference. We're all looking at each other as we are students. My father is the captain. He's the head of the gym, and everything that we know is given to us. But we also don't lose sight of the fact of being a student, and we still know certain things. You
Yeah.
know, we working in. It's a work in progress, basically. So now that my father's gone, the oldest is taking the lead role. It's like me personally, I'm looking at him like, dang, you was just a student. You know, so it's kind of like
Hmm.
difficult to
Yeah.
empty myself fully. But the transition was a lot easier to empty myself because that is my brother and it's not a stranger or a new coach coming from another gym saying, hey, I want to be your primary coach now. You know,
Hmm.
so it works too. The bond, it works. The chemistry, it works. You know, but I feel like my brother got to get used to being a coach.
Absolutely. Now, like I said, it's got to be quite the accomplishment, though. There's only been 10 siblings in the history of boxing to become world champions together. You guys have accomplished that now. You put your guys' name amongst all those other siblings. Like, that's something you guys can't take away no matter whatever happens the rest of history. You guys are solidified in that group. When you just think of that, knowing that where you guys came from, where you guys have grown up, and now you guys have that accomplishment, that record attached to your guys' name, what just goes through your mind when you hear that?
Greatness. I
Mm.
feel like no matter where we go, the greatness is going to follow because of what we possess. I know, like I said, it's an unspoken thing between me and my brothers. When it comes to a point, we can give each other a look, and we know that we're not fully there yet. The journey must goes on until we achieve our goal. You know, and we're going to keep striving for greatness. I feel like us as a family, we're very culture based, we're very oriented, and we kind of pull our energy from not just our neighborhood, but like I said, the people that's been supporting us from afar. Of course, our immediate family because we come from the same area. We've been doing it all together for so long, and
Mhm.
we've been having breakthroughs. You know, small breakthroughs. But once we got this belt again, it's like okay, now we starting to really penetrate.
Mhm.
We're starting to really get over these humps a lot easier. So these hurdles, they might get bigger, but now we're accustomed to how these hurdles is going to come. You
Mhm.
know, but like I said before, there's three more belts out there, and the goal isn't done.
Well, I want to get through this last past fight you just went through against Rayo because that's what made you now a world champion. And I want to go through that because going into that fight, Rayo was a champion. He just had a great performance coming against Isak Cruz. He was looking great. He actually had a masterful performance, I should say, against Pitbull. And you go in there, and I mean, I was even tweeting about it during the middle of that game. I mean, you honestly, in my opinion, you embarrassed him. I mean, that was a clean sweep right there, and that's pretty rare. I mean,
Embarrassed him.
hey, man. I mean, in my opinion, you won all 12 rounds, and so I mean, that's a rarity, especially when you talk about coming off. I mean, you're going up against a champion. Getting 12 rounds against a champion is not the easiest thing to do. I don't know how many times in history has happened before, but I mean, you did your thing out there. When you talk about that, is that something that you expected to that extent, to the extent where I'm sure you obviously had comments you're going to win the fight and whatnot, but that you were going to have essentially be on a different level that night as opposed to what Rayo did out there?
Not really. I know what I possess, you know, and
Yeah,
yes, getting the title is a pinnacle of the professional round to an extent. I feel like honestly being undisputed is a pinnacle.
yeah,
You got
sure.
all of them, you know, but getting a title is definitely a step towards it, and it's the highest that you can be at the moment. One title is that one is still a title holder. You're still world champion, you know. But in the amateur wise, the Olympics is the pinnacle.
Yep.
Getting a gold medal, and through the whole process and the whole journey, from fighting from the losers bracket, there's never been more than five people that ever done it as far as trying to qualify for the Olympics team or just participate in the Olympic Games or something like that. It's been me, my older brother Gary Russell Jr.,
Hmm.
Evander Holyfield, Floyd Mayweather, and I want to say Roy Jones Jr. No, Mike Tyson, I think,
Hmm.
if I'm not mistaken. But the reason why I bring it up is we fought from the loser bracket. Normally, how the fights go is you fight four times in one qualifier, and within these four fights, they space it out. You fight one day, get it by the next day, fight the next day. I mean, the next day after that. and so forth and so forth. So basically, every other day you fight.
Mm-hmm.
When you fight for the losers bracket, you gotta fight every day
Mm.
without getting a layoff. You know, and we made history doing that. Now I'm in the history books for doing that. But like I said before, that whole process, you're dealing with countries from all over. I'm talking about Hungary, Jordan,
Yeah.
Uzbekistan, uh, England. It doesn't. They come from all over to participate, and you got to go up against all of these styles. And all of these styles, you got to acclimate to. You got to adapt. So
Mm-hmm.
when I say I know what I possess, I made it to the Olympics with homegrown intelligence. You know,
Yeah.
a tutor that gave me the proper teachings. And these teachers that not only sent me to the Olympics, but it sent my older brother to the Olympics in 2008. So, you know what they say: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And
Yeah.
we've been using that for as long as we can remember. Of course, we've been adding more tools to our arsenal because the older you grow, the more accustomed you get into the sport, you learn new things. Um, Professionally, a lot of people they slow down intentionally. They want to slow themselves down because the professional world, I don't know, it's just like a syndrome. Just because you're professional, they want to slow the pace down. You don't technically have to slow the pace down.
Yeah.
What if your opponent come out just like a bat out of hell? Will you be prepared for that?
Mm-hmm.
Or would your mental be set on, oh no, it's professional now, I'm gonna just slow down. Now you losing the fight because you wasn't up tempo enough.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I've been up against enough styles to understand how to respond to them.
Makes sense.
You know, and with Ryo, yes, he came off of a world class style fighter, which is Pitbull at the time, Isaac Cruz. Now he made him look easy, real easy.
Yep.
You know, and I felt like that was a thing with styles make fights.
Agree.
Styles make fights. You got a short guy that's just winging. I'm talking about from Texas. You see him coming, you better dodge it.
Yeah.
If you get hit with it, you deserve to get hit with it. Because everybody see it coming on national television. So that type of thing. You know, and you could tell that he had good preparations in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He had proper practice and preparations against Isaac Cruz. They showed what he had. They exploited his flaws and made the adjustments, and his fight was clean. He looked there very professional.
Yeah.
You know, he got a new coach now, which is Robert Garcia, and I think they starting to gel pretty well. But at the end of the day, Ryo can look good doesn't mean that he don't have flaws.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we took advantage of those flaws. That's it. Like I said, we don't went up against a lot of styles, and we just know how to adjust.
Mm-hmm. And so when you finally go through that fight and you're going through it and obviously you perform the way you did, is that the way you expected in that game, in that fight though? Like when you were leading up to it and you knew the flaws he had, was that something that you knew going into the fight, or is that something you more so adjusted mid-fight and you said, okay, I see the opening, I see this ability, I see where I can beat him off of this in the middle of the fight, or when did that kind of settle in for yourself?
Right. And honestly, sometimes you just might gotta change on the fly.
Yeah.
Because let's say you and I was fighting each other. I know that you're rangy, you're long, you're taller than me,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna try to keep me on the outside,
Yeah.
right? I'm short. I know I'm strong. I'm fast. You know, I gotta get in the inside basically.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say the night of the fight, you're preparing. At least I think you're preparing to keep me on the outside, and I'm preparing to try to stalk you down to get in the inside so I can be effective. But the
Mm-hmm.
night of the fight, you change the game plan. You meet me center of the ring, mano a mano. Now
Mm-hmm.
I'm like shocked because we practice coming forward. Now you meet me in the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
I got to change on the fly now. You know what I mean? So I can't
Mm-hmm.
just turn it into a slug match. I won't turn it into a slug match. Now this is where the critical thinking starts to come into play. You know, the readjusting have to come into play because
Mm-hmm.
now you got 8 ounce gloves on. We're both fresh. We're both in shape.
Yep.
And all it takes is for one person to land the right punch at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
That's reckless.
Yep. So I got to ask you then, because now you set yourself in a position where, as I said, heading to that fight, obviously you're a world champion, but because of the performance you had now, I think it opens the door for a lot bigger opportunities if you want it to be whatever that is, whether that just be getting a fight in right now, defending the belt, or that be possible unification. That could be going and fighting another guy coming up. There's a lot of rumors out there right now. That's where really, I really want to ask you about right now. So we look at possibilities on the table right now. We know there's a possible rematch against a fellow champion that's currently out there, Albert Puello, who you fought about a year ago. You got guys, I know they've heard rumors to Chris Stevenson, possibly even 135, whether you go down, he goes up. So let me know your thoughts right now. What are we looking at right now? What's some options on the table that you're looking at doing,
Nah,
potentially
I
fighting
want
next?
Alberto Pollo. I don't
Mm,
honestly. Of course, I would entertain any other champion because I want to give the boxing world what they deserve. I want to give them entertainment. You know, I want to keep boxing on the mat. My division, the junior welterweight division, always been stacked, always been fireworks and dynamite for as long as I can remember. But at
mm.
the end of the day, if I had to pick, I would want Alberto Pollo again.
All right.
Why? Because we got some unfinished business. He got a big thing over me. I cannot let that go. I
Mm-hmm.
told him before. I said I don't care if we lose to what is the guy
Martine?
Martin? He just fought
Yeah. Sando
Sandor
Martine?
Martin.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't care if you lose them. You gotta fight me. I gotta see you. You know, I wouldn't mind giving you a shot at the title if you lose. That type of thing. So yeah, I would want Alberto Pollo.
All right.
Put him back on the chopping block. Of course, you got people from 35 that's moving up to 40 and stuff like that. But whatever's out there,
Mm-hmm. Now, I know in that fight, though, like you said, it obviously Puello, went out there. He did get the win. Now, I know that was very controversial. Some people thought Sandor Martin edged him out in that fight, but he got the win. So now it could be a unification fight if that's what you guys go forward with. And you're the guy that knows the connections right now. I know you're the one that can talk to PBC. You're the one that talks to everybody along those lines. Is that something that you've had discussions on yet? Is that something that is possibly in the works you've had any talks about yet?
some gossips that's going on out there, you know. But
All right.
we're patient.
Okay.
We're very patient. We don't have no problem with waiting until um, everything gets fully discussed and put together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a lot of businesses going on, a lot of mergers is going on lately as far as networks and stuff like that, merging with other networks.
Yep.
Something going on with Turkey Island Cheek and stuff. There's just a lot going on that I know that the committee got to deal with hands on wise, you know. And I don't never want to inconvenience nobody. I don't want to be inconvenienced as well, and I definitely don't want to be no one fight per year type fighter, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But realistically, I just gotta give you the information I have.
Makes sense.
Right now, I gotta reach out to them just to expedite the decision. But I'm patient. It's a story
Mm-hmm.
that was told to me. Patience is a virtue. There's two bulls. One was young, one was old. The young one said, "Let's run down there and fuck one of those cows," because they was on the top of a hill, and at the bottom of the hill was a lot of cows.
Mm-hmm.
But the young boy like, let's run down there and fuck one of these cows. The old boy said, look, let's walk down there and get all of them. In other words, the moral of the story was have patience, you know, and I'm very patient. I'm very
Mm-hmm.
patient.
Well, I want to ask you about the possible fight against Alberto Puello. Let's say that it's going to get made. Obviously, we know that that's the one loss you've had on your resume right now. So, when you look at that fight, are there any kind of adjustments you plan on making to yourself? Are there some things you've worked on? What's going to possibly change for the outcome to be the way that you want it to be?
Oh, a flawless victory.
Mm,
I feel like that's the best performance that anybody can give. Now, if you can give that type of performance every time you hop in that square circle, I feel like you become a complete fighter.
yep.
Canelo Alvarez. He thought he was a complete fighter when they used to call him Curry Top until he met a Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather gave him a boxing lesson, made him look real easy,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But after that, he emptied himself. Canelo Alvarez, he emptied himself, and he showed that he got a cup that's half empty versus half full, you know. And and he learned from that. And
Yep.
now you see him beating everybody, knocking everybody out, making it look clean, making it look easy, not even huffing and puffing.
Yep.
Very precise. You know, with me, I want to be able to get the fans the attraction and attention that they want, the show that they want. I want to be able to come out unscathed. I want to be able to dismantle my opponents at ease and know how to do it. You know, I want to know how to do it, not just do it because I'm being told what to do. I want to see it. And I feel like when a person truly understands something, like how a mechanism works inside out and backwards, that's when they can conquer it.
Mm.
And with me, I know that there's a lot of styles out here, a lot of crafty guys, a lot of strong guys, a lot of tall, long, lanky guys. You know, it's many different styles. If I can get familiarized and comfortable with dealing with any type of style on the fly, that's when I feel like I'm a complete fighter. Right now, yes, I'm great. I am great. I'm world champion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it's more to learn. It's way much more to learn. You can do a lot with less moves, basically. You know, and I feel
Mm-hmm.
like when you do stuff like that, it's because you know.
Now, I want to ask you a little bit more about that component right there because that mindset's unique. You see a lot of guys that when they become world champion, they become satisfied and they don't want to keep improving. But the fact that you're saying, okay, I'm world champion right now, but I'm still going to acknowledge I'm not flawless. I'm not perfect yet. I still got room for improvement. That's impressive. That's noteworthy right there because it's not, and not every fighter does that right now. We see so many times guys get the belt and then they never get it again. They just start falling down because they become satisfied with themselves. They think that way is the only way and they don't want to improve. What instilled that, in a sense, humility or that desire to learn and get better inside of you?
Just wanting to be the best, being grown to be the best at what I do. If you're gonna do something, do it to the fullest, do it right. You know, and being the best at it is definitely something that not just me, but me and my family was brought up on. And
Mhm.
we've been going through segments, like we've been getting broken down and rebuilt just so we could learn a lesson. So we understand that getting to certain destinations is required for you to go through many different components.
Yeah.
You know, and right now I'm gonna be real with myself. Like you can't be fake with yourself with this sport. You know,
Mhm.
you can play basketball, you can play soccer, you can play golf, you can play volleyball, but you can't play this.
Mhm.
You cannot play boxing. So you gotta be all the way honest with yourself when it comes to where you stand.
Now, I have to also ask you: has there been anyone that's given you certain resistance that you've noticed that you've seen within specific opponents that you faced so far in your career?
You say what again?
Yeah, yeah. So I was gonna say, what type of resistance have you faced with any specific opponents? Like, have there been any certain resistance that you've seen you felt within certain with some certain opponents?
I have, yeah. So Ryan, he gave me a different type of resistance. It was more so his level of poisonous. He was poised,
Yeah.
you know, and he had punching power from round one all the way to 12, and I couldn't fall asleep. I couldn't fall asleep. It would have been a 12 round upset or something like that. And that's where a lot of fighters, you know, fall short. They get too comfortable and they feel they up on the cause, winning, and before you know it, they get caught with something.
Mhm.
And the fight is over. They're looking at the lights and they're getting them like, man, did I win? Not gonna happen to me. I would hate for that to happen ever, you
Yep.
know. But his level of poisonous is what will allow him to pull something like that off.
Mhm.
You know, when you're poised, I feel like you're more precise with your punch selection. Your punch selection will be more precise. That can be a dangerous trait as far
Mhm.
as you having an opponent that got these abilities. And not only poise, they still got wind, they in shape. They not only have punching power to get your attention, but they got enough poisoness and patience to be accurate.
Mm.
You know, you don't got to land a lot of shots. Just probably two clean ones
Mm-hmm.
that matters. So that was the resistance that he put up. And he was durable. It wasn't like I could just beat him down. I probably
Yeah.
won landslide wise to many people, but it wasn't like he was laying down. He was not trying to lay down.
Yep. That's a good point.
I give him that. Our brother Poya, he was long range. His resistance was trying to stay away. And honestly, he won that fight because of me. My father always told me, like, if it looked too competitive, you might as well give this mother effort the W
Mm-hmm.
because I'm preparing y'all for greatness. I'm preparing y'all to be great. Y'all should blow everybody out of the water. Should nobody be on y'all level. So it's guys come in and watch us and they be like, man, he look good, he look good. And my father be cursing us out, man. That mother effer, man. He ain't listening. You see what he doing here? You don't see that? And he like, man, what you? They be like, what you talking about? He look good. He beat a guy up. But it's subtleties, and it brings me back to my oldest brother. Now, this is how I know that he's starting to kind of like grow into that coaching mode. That
Mm-hmm.
coaching have that coach that got these eyes. Like you got the fighter eyes, and you got the coach eyes.
Yeah.
Different lenses. The coach can see what you can't see, but the fighter can see what's in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's starting to get those eyes on brother because he say stuff like, to me, the difference between great and good is inches and centimeters and the ability to produce.
Yeah. Agree with that.
And that's
100%.
so true.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Now, I know you also gave a little bit of talk about being patient in terms of your next opponent. I know the big goal would be getting the rematch. That's the ultimate thing if you could pick anything. But I know you just want to stay active. I know you mentioned that a few different times throughout this interview now. So is there a timeline that you're looking at? Is it sometime in the summer now, fall? Is there like a time that you would hope to at least, whether it be the big fight that you want, the rematch, or be somebody else? Like, is there a time that you're looking at, you say, I really want to get back in that ring?
Definitely before June, before the next year. I don't
Okay.
care what date they give me, for real, for real.
All right. Now, I know there's a rumor. I know it hasn't been confirmed yet, but I know a lot of people do expect the Lamont Roach and Tank Davis rematch to occur sometime June. I think it's June 21st, if I'm not mistaken. Is that another time where you could see yourself being on that undercard once again?
I wouldn't mind. Honestly, I feel like everybody want to see their rematch anyway, as well
Yeah,
as me and our brother Pollo.
that would be
Rematch
tough.
card. That's sound pretty neat to me. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's gonna make some noise. A rematch card, yeah, yeah.
Uh huh.
I can see that happening. I wouldn't mind that happening. Literally, I would not mind that happening.
Yeah, that'd be pretty solid. Main event, co-main event would be pretty tough right there. Those two.
Okay.
So I also got to see then on top of that, then since we are talking about real quickly, then Tank and Lamont Roach, obviously, if that rematch does occur on June 21st, what's your thoughts on that? I'm sure you've seen the fight by now. I know there's been a lot of talking right now. If you had to pick one guy to go with in that fight, who do you got winning the rematch?
I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, you got people that is poised enough, patient enough, and true enough to wait the whole 12 rounds.
Hmm.
They still got that precision. They still got that preciseness about them. Now, Lamar Roach has never been one of those fighters that hitting one shot. As a matter of fact, Tank be losing a lot of like his fights every first 3 rounds. First 4 rounds, he be down in the car, and then he just pick up momentum and then catches the guy, boom, and the
Yep.
fight over. A sharp shot, a precise landing punch. I feel like now the jitters and the butterflies is gone.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and it kind of looked like Tank was just letting them off, like just giving them just enough to make a fight entertaining.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was trying to take the fight from the champ because he didn't have to. He's a champ, and I told a lot of people, I said, excuse me, in order for you to beat the champ, you got to beat the champ.
Mhm. Yep. So were you at all shocked then by the first outcome? 'Cause I know that was a fight that most fans, at least in America, and I know there's a lot of fans of Tank Davis, to make sense, but a lot of people thought that was going to be an easy win for Tank. Were you shocked by how good Lamont Roach looked that night?
No,
Yep.
no,
All right.
because now
Get him out of back in here 1 second. We'll be right back. I'm just going to get him out of back in here. We'll finish up the last couple questions then with Gary Antoine Russell. Looks like it got disconnected. Yeah, exactly. Antoine Russell back in. Once he gets connected, I'll show where he's actually has to pick up the interview there right after that. Go on a short break and I'll get him going back in here. From the moment I was born, a ball was in my hands and a deep passion for sports. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the SchuZ Show. So I said we might finish up that other interview a little bit. I know his phone died. Just let me know. But coming up now, though, is going to be another interview I talked about a little bit ago. He is now currently 14-1-1, coming off a big win this past weekend. He has 6 current KOs. He's a middleweight, a rising star, only 22 years old. Jahi Tucker. Jahi, I appreciate coming on today, man.
Nah, man, appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, man. So we got to get right to it in the very beginning now. You're coming off a win now. You're a couple of days removed from it. What's your thoughts? I'm sure you rewatched the film a little bit now. What's your thoughts on the fight overall?
It was a cool performance. I give it like a C plus.
Okay.
I felt like I could have got my man out of there. Just better punch placement, and just growing, keep continually getting better. But I'm just happy I got the win, and I'm ready for the next one.
So walk us through a little bit then. Obviously, it was a dominant performance. You had the win there. And like you said, there's obviously all the things you want to take away and improve on. Nobody's a perfect fighter overall. So when you look at it, and you said yourself kind of a middle grade, it was good. You got the job done. Wasn't per se the best performance in the world. Wasn't the worst performance in the world. What would you
Yeah.
say is the biggest thing you learned or took away from it?
Honestly, I just learned that to sometimes placing the punches a little bit better. You get what I'm trying to say? I felt like I was placing the punches well in spots, and other spots I didn't do so well. So, that's something I definitely will take away and go after my next camp. But I mean, I feel like going in there, I expected the win to be dominant, though. Most of these guys really can't do anything with us in reality. It's just all about just me versus me getting better.
Definitely. And when you talk about your own style, I know you have a very, very unique fighting style. Some fans love it. Some fans aren't going to like it. It's just very, very unique. It's kind of new to you, and that's kind of the way you handle business there. So you got to kind of take me
Yeah.
through this a little bit then. Like what influences this? How did you even get this style to become part of your resume and arsenal?
It really just all about just practicing. I study grades. I study all types of different fighters, and I try to like mesh them together as much as
Okay.
I can. And still also remaining myself as an individual. It's just it just all comes together, and you learn off each fight. You gain more and more experience. You add new tricks to your toolbox.
So when you would say that the overall proponent, because I know a lot of it, you do fight more traditional. We've seen you go thug it out in some fights there where you get in the pocket and you exchange with some guys. And then we see more so what you did this past weekend. Obviously, you had the knockdowns, you still have some of those moments, but it was a lot more flash than this weekend, I'd say, than other fights we've seen. When you talk about the flashy component, how was that kind of brought into you? Where did you and when did you start developing that?
I feel like that's always been in me. It's just a performer in me. When I'm in the ring, I feel free, man. I'm having fun. I'm just going in there taking care of business. Pardon me.
Oh, good.
Allergy season.
Bless
But
you, man. No worries.
thank you. But yeah, just trying to give the fans a show, man, and just have fun.
When you're talking about fighting in Las Vegas, I know that's a dream for a lot of guys, and that was a fun card this past weekend. What's that like?
Man, it's just a blessing. A lot of guys, like you said, a lot of people wish they fight Las Vegas. It's a lot of people's dream to fight Las Vegas, and to not only be Las Vegas fighting on top rank ESPN, it's always good. Um, like I said, man, I just love putting on a show for the fight fans. I know there's a lot of fight fans out in Vegas.
Now, I want to break down Troy Williamson a little bit more. We've seen him fight some other guys in your same weight class, guys that have been having successful careers overall, and he's put up good fights against them. And so he was a good next stepping stone for yourself. When you just evaluate fighting him, what was some of the things that you'd say impressed you about him? What were some of your takeaways against facing him?
He had a good motor. I studied him keenly before we fought him. Actually, I studied him keenly,
Okay.
and everything that I expected is everything that he brought to the table. Like great motor. He wasn't gonna stop fighting. Very durable. You know, but I already knew since I was like 17 I belonged on this level. Of course, when I was 17, I still had to tweak some things, and even now I still tweak some things. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I know I belong on this level, on this world level, and I just can't wait to just keep stepping on my opponents, keep taking dudes out, and grab that gold.
All right, so I have to ask you though, because you're now kind of settling in at 160. You're already 22 years old, obviously, so you still have room. It could possibly go up weight class in the future. But at this point in time, you've already fought 147, you fought 154. You kind of, like I said, seem to be kind of settling in at 160. Is this your weight class? Is this the weight class that you plan on sticking at for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, this is my weight class, 160. I feel like
Like I said, I'm one of the best fighters in the world, and I can't wait to fight for the title, man. It's gonna be fun.
So you're still working your way up right there. What's next for you? What are some things that you have on your line? Is it going into fighting other guys, maybe the top 15 rankings on one of the different boards or commissions? Or what kind of is going through your brain right now? What's some of the fights that you want to see happening next?
Well, I'm just gonna go in there and listen to my manager, Jay, listen to my promoter. Whoever they bring me, whatever they move me, I take my time and grow. You hear me?
Yeah, you're good now. You're good. Yep.
Yep. So I know, like, if they give me that call, like, hey, we need you to fight this top 10 dude, yo. We need you to fight the world champion. I know I'm ready, man. I just stay in the gym. I just keep working and keep getting better. That's all I really care about, man. And the wins is going to show for themselves. The fights is going to show for themselves.
Now, I'm not sure if you've heard about it yet, but there has been some things kind of come together. It's going to be a middleweight tournament. I don't know if it's going to be based out there in Australia or where it's going to be based out right now, but there's currently already been some guys. Nikita Zhu's been a part of it. Michael Zaraf has been a part of it. Brock Jarvis will be a part of it now. It seems to be a lot of guys that's in that kind of range where you are. Guys that are not necessarily the top champions currently, but guys that are trying to work their way up. Is that something on your radar? Have you heard about that yet? Is that something you'd be interested in doing and partaking in?
I actually did hear about this tournament, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely interested. Like, yo, if I get that call, like, you're in the tournament, I'm there. And I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna show out, man. That would be lovely.
So basically, your goal overall is that you're ready to go whenever, wherever you want to fight.
Pardon me, what'd you say? I couldn't hear you on that one.
Yeah, yeah. So I said, pretty much your whole goal is you want to be able to fight whenever, wherever. Or
You
can
hear
you
me?
hear me? Let me see. I'll try re-adding you real quick. See if that works.
Technical difficulties.
We'll be right back in a minute.
This is a little choppy. I kind of hear you. I kind of can't.
Here, let me see. I'll switch scenes real quick. I'll be right back, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. So we get right back to that question. So before the technical difficulty, I was wondering then, basically. So it sounds like from what I'm hearing from you right now that you're pretty much of the mindset that you want to fight anywhere, anyone, wherever.
Oh yeah, man. You feel me? Once the numbers right, man, I take the challenge. I go out there because I'm 100% confident in my skills and I'm ready to put my skills on display.
So I know going back, I was researching. I saw you made a quote or comment a little bit ago. It was about a few months back, and you talked about Janibek. That seemed to be a guy you're looking at in terms of the champion right there. And in my opinion, right now, he's the best guy at 160 overall out of the champions. And so when you look at that guy, what about him is that something that's appealing to you? Like, why is that the guy that you seem to be having your eyes on, or at least you did have your eyes on?
You know, Janabek's definitely the guy who I got my eyes on right now. You feel me? He's the top rank. I'm the top rank. He got belts, and I the easiest path as of now. Um, but yeah, man. Honestly, I'll fight any of the world champions, man. Adames, Lara.
There, you're good. You're good.
Oh yeah, yep.
So you were saying you said Adamas and Laura, and then you kind of cut out.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm saying I'll fight any of the championship guys. Adames, Lara, Janet Beck. Janet Beck, of course, being the easiest path because he's the top rank
Makes
as
sense.
well. But I'll fight any one of these guys.
I want to also ask you about growing up a little bit because you being a New York guy, born in Brooklyn, moved to Long Island then when you were a teenager. Can you take us through your history a little bit about that? Is that what kind of grew the boxing into you, or when did you really start getting involved in love of boxing?
Well, you want to know, like, growing up, boxing has kind of just been, it's just kind of just been a part of my life, since I was like 7, even
Hmm.
before that. But formally, it really started when I was 7. It was always, it kept me from being in a lot of trouble. It put me in the right place, let me meet a lot of people. And I just felt like it was my calling, man. It's just one of those things where sometimes you don't want to do it, but hey, man, I feel like it's just what I was put on the earth to do, you know? And being from Brooklyn, from a long line of like, yeah, I got to see dudes like Danny Jacobs and Louis Collazo training up close and personal while they were in the middle of their reigns. Even growing up sparring Africa, Richardson Hitchens, I grew up sparring Richardson Hitchens. It's just Richard Comey, all these dudes. It's just in Brooklyn, it's just a different type of culture. And it just makes you want to be great. And then Long Island, it just showed me how much bigger the world was. Growing up in the inner city, moving to Long Island showed me how much bigger the world was, and it gave me like a broader perspective in terms of not just my professional career as a boxer, but just in life. You feel me? And that mindset right there helped kind of shape what you guys see today.
So when you were kind of growing up, now you said it's kind of been your boxing has already been part of your life since you were younger. When did you start to feel like, you know what, this is what I'm going to be great at? I have a chance to be really, really good. This is what my life's going to be about.
I feel like I really felt that way when I was probably about 16, well, I would say probably like 14, 15, 16. Like, that's when I really doubled down and you know, and I just felt like that's what it was. My coach Coach Kenny Woods, God rest his soul, he passed back in 2014. And he would always tell me like, "Yo, you're gonna be like a world champion." Like he always seen potential in me before anybody else, and he kind of helped develop my love for the game. So when he passed, it was kind of one of those things where it's like, I can't let his life be in vain in a way. You feel me?
Hmm. Now you are only
But
22 years old. It just happened in just January. You're 22 years old. You're young enough for a boxer, and you've already worked your way up a lot. So when you talk about the next stages for yourself, there's a lot on the table for yourself. I mentioned to already, but like, what do you see in your future? Like, let's say that at 1 year outline, what do you see in store for yourself in terms of how many fights, who you might want to go after? Like, what's the goals for you overall in this 22nd year of life?
like when I look at it, I look at a lot. I look at a lot of these future matchups. Like as of right now, like, I do imagine soon I will touch my prime. And yeah, man, I'm ready to top the pound for pound list, man. It's just the first step is getting that belt, you know. So I tend to try to take things one fight at a time, one step at a time. You feel me? But now I'm down for sure, man. If they call me tomorrow for a pound for pound level fight, I'm taking it. I'm training my ass off to win, no matter who it is.
So you still have a lot on the table. Like I said, you still are young, 22. You typically, your prime isn't until 25, 26, whatever it might be. What do you want to be able to add into your arsenal, add into your game? Or what do you think you still have kind of are missing yet that you could possibly add into your career as you continue to develop?
Adding to my game, by the time I'm like 25, 26, I feel like I'll be a little bit more seasoned. I'll gain more experience. And, time always tells all. As of right now, I feel like there's not nothing I'm not capable of doing in the ring. I
Sure.
probably want to be, just a little bit more put together, a little bit more sharper. And like I said, more seasoned, by then, hopefully, I already have a world championship or I've already had a couple of them, But like I said, there's not really much that I can't do in a boxing ring. My game.
Well, can you hear me? So when you talk, like I said, kind of going back to that question. So you kind of
All
coughed
right,
on the end.
yep.
You good?
Yep.
Perfect, perfect. I know that at 160, there are some things I also want to ask you about because we know at the top of the division right now, that seems to be, at least in my opinion, a division that we could see an undisputed at some point in time. So when you talk about that, there was one type of, for now it'd have to be unification. Who would you say would be the biggest fight you see you could want to make right now out of the three champions?
It, I couldn't hear you right. It's like chipping. I don't know why.
From the moment I was born, a ball was in my hands and a deep passion for sports was ignited. My dream was to play the game for From the moment I was born, a ball was in my hands and a deep passion for sports was ignited. My dream was to play the game for as long as possible, but God had other plans. After battling with severe illnesses caused by black mold poisoning for nearly 4 years, I made the difficult decision to let go of my on-court dreams heading into my junior year of high school. However, I was determined to have one last victorious moment as an athlete, and that was achieved on February 9th, 2019, when I ran a marathon at the age of 16. That night, as I took a recovery Epsom salt bath, I felt God place on my heart the idea to start a podcast. Although I didn't know where to begin, the first episode of SchuZ Views dropped on March 11th, 2019.
Over the next 1,183 days, more than 600.
Welcome back, everyone. Hopefully, we got everything figured out this time around. But the question I was asking you right before we got into that whole technical difficulty thing was a little bit obviously not necessarily just involving you right now. But when I look at the 160 weight class, there's three champions right now: Janet Beck, Adames, Laura. All of them could be interesting fights where I think we could possibly have an undisputed sometime in the near future. So if you're going to get in your matchmaking mind right now, is there a fight that you'd like to see, whether it be Janet Beck versus Adames or Laura Adames? Like, what's the type of fight you'd personally want to see if you could make anything at 160?
At 160, I'm going Laura versus Janet Beck. I
Mm,
feel like that would be a really tough fight, really, for both guys. Both one guy being Cuban, one guy being Soviet. You know, they both got that pedigree, that Olympic style. Um, I just feel like that's a tough fight for both guys. Laura's very sneaky, he's very powerful, very experienced. Janet Beck is slick too, and he's very powerful. So, I think that would be the fight.
Now, in terms of yourself, then, we know that you've got a long way of possibly getting other guys and on until you get the championship rate. Could be a couple of months, could be a year, whatever it might be. What's your personal idea? Like, obviously, you would want a world championship fight next year. You talked about that. That would be your goal. But obviously, there could be a pathway. Like I said, right now, I think we're going to get unification in the near future. So it might be a year or so out till you get that opportunity. But
Yeah.
what's your timeline then? So what's something that you see realistic? Is it a guy, like I said, fighting top 15 possibly, a guy that's another young prospect? What's kind of the game plan, what you're looking for next?
Really, man, I just want to just keep getting better, man. Just keep faking these fights, spot fights. Because in reality, man, it's just hard for me to get fights. A lot of guys like they won't accept the fight. Their promoter won't accept the fight. They see it as a dangerous fight, you know. So it's really looking like potentially another prospect could come in the mix if like it becomes something where a title eliminator is involved.
Okay.
Um, or it could just be something to where it's like, yo, this guy's a top 15 guy. He's trying to defend the spot, and I gotta take him out. But ideally, it's really just about me. It's me getting better, me getting sharper, and just getting ready for the championship level. Because you know, no fight's the same, but it's always gonna be you versus you at the end of the day. You know, and once you got the bag and the skills to take care of everybody, I feel like you'll never have a problem, no matter who's in front of you.
And there's actually a question I want to ask you, and obviously I just want to hear your opinion. I want to ask you this because on your last fight, Timothy Bradley was talking about you a little bit, or quite a bit, obviously, during your duration of your fight. And he brought up one interesting point. He said he obviously would like to see you guys possibly add more people into your guys' camp, add more voices, add more minds. He said he's talked to you guys about that. Obviously, I'm not sure if that's occurred or not, if that conversation has happened. But
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on that? Is that something you and your camp are looking at doing, adding more voices in there? Or what's your thoughts on that statement?
You know, there are a lot of places where a lot of people, not with our team, but just even the outside guys, some of the good guys in the game. You feel me? Like there's people that give that stand to come workers and stuff. They see me come sharpen up. My father, he just never has any issues. You know, some fighters, some coaches get with the fight, like you know, coaching my fighter. Such. My father never had those type of problems. You know, we always agree not to open arms. You get what I'm saying? It's all about getting better. Nobody knows though. So that's definitely something that I would definitely implement it since talking to him. And just in general, we never really had that situation. A lot of the time, I just trust my team, like because boxing is one of those games where you got to trust who you came through with. You don't really like better terms on anybody. You know people, you don't know people. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to just trust the team, trust how you got here, and understand. For me, I get being a leader within myself every time I step in the ring. It's gonna fall on me. So it's also me and staying coachable, being able to listen and learn from my mistakes, listen to criticisms from my father and from other coaches too. I mean,
If there was one part about your game that you want to implement or add into your resume and your arsenal, what would that be?
it's not a hard question because I feel like depending on who I'm fighting, I'll bring
Sure.
something different out. Depending
Sure.
on who they're running, I'll give you guys something different. There's not really much that I haven't I can't do in a boxing ring. Just depends on the night and what I need for that night specifically. I feel like over time, like it'll show more and more, and the harder fights I get into, the more my back to come out. You know,
Hmm. So you do talk about all the prospects out there right now. There's a
yeah,
lot of great prospects. There's tons of names we could say, but obviously for those in America, we obviously look at a lot of guys in the American states right now.
yeah.
You're part of that group. You're 22 years old. You're still considered a prospect, obviously. Where do you see yourself in comparison to some of the top prospects, and how do you view yourself in terms of a prospect out there?
Well, keep it on record with you. I feel like after the last fight, I didn't. I kind of felt like I got rid of the prospect title only because my first 10 I got out of the way. You know, and
Hmm.
that's nice. The world so competitive at one point being for top 10 and
Yep.
many people got to their thing. And I felt like it wasn't a challenge, even go to the fight, like it wasn't down to it. It was also just going out there and proving it. It's not to everybody else, but to myself. And I felt like honestly, a lot of the prospects there, uh, you know, they're good fighters wouldn't be where they were if they didn't if they weren't fighters.
Yep.
But I don't feel like a lot of them are battle tested. I honestly don't feel like a lot of them can fuck with me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. You're good.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of dudes they can't fuck with me when it comes to this fighting stuff. And that's my opinion. And that's before only time will tell. I'm not really too much for like trash talking or like, I kind of watch and I peep and I just kind of sharp my game, see things that I do, and be like, "Yo, that was nice, I got better." For me,
Hmm.
and I can try this. It's all about me. Whenever I look, I got tunnel vision. You feel me? When you're doing this and doing that, like among the other things. You feel me?
Yeah, 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 for sure. So when you, I guess a better question would be then, because you're kind of a good point there. Then obviously under 25 years old, I'd say if you talk about yourself in the under 25 group, because there's obviously a lot of guys. I know just on that card last weekend fighting, you had Abdullah Mason's obviously in that group. We have yourself in
Yeah,
that group. I know he's a little bit younger, but Kermel Moten, obviously, I think there's a big gap because he's only 18, 17, 18 years old right now. But like you're amongst those guys that are in that top, under 25 guys that people are excited for in the future then.
yeah.
And so I kind of want to ask you that question then, because so many people talk about you as this fun and exciting guy that's going to be a great factor in the future. How do you kind of take in that and say, you know what? Yes, I have all this attention. Yes, people are excited for me, but kind of like you said, keep that tunnel vision, stay locked in, and still pursue the goal.
You know, hey, the praise is good, but when I go down to body fight for it, only good as you ask for, you know. Um, Also just trying to get better, being the same type fight, but just getting my defense even better, trying to grow and just become a better fighter, IQ wise. Still being able to put on the same size fight with just other dudes like Crawford, Cadell. They're still excellent, exciting fighters, but when it comes to the actual sport and the art of boxing, like top tier, like I look at stuff like that. I try to limit myself. I feel like,
Absolutely, man. Well, I got a couple more things before I let you go. One of which is that when you talk about upcoming fights, is there something that you want to do in the near future? Like, when's the next time we could possibly see you in the ring? Is that something early June? Comes on in the summer? Earlier than that? Later than that? What do you want to get? When do you want to get back in that ring?
honestly, man, right now, I got a really cool fight. I feel like it process something, I'm gonna take heal up a little bit, watch some more film. But I think summertime is definitely what I'm looking for. And hopefully it's gonna be a big fight. Hopefully it's gonna be something that's gonna catch the crowd eye. And I can't wait to get back.
Absolutely, man. Well, the final question I was like wrapping up with each guy is talking about your legacy. And I know we've been talking about how young you are and all these things, and so you still got a long boxing career ahead of you. But when that day does come, you decide to step away from boxing. What is it you want to be remembered for? Like, what do you want your legacy to be?
I want to remember that one of the greatest fighters that my era. Uh, and just being remembered for always being the guy that shy away from a challenge and to always come out on top. Being the best fighter of my era, honestly, that's my goal. And be recognized amongst some of the greatest middleweights of all time. Middleweights, light heavyweights, however high my weight goes. I just want to be remembered as one of the best.
So I know you just kind of hinted at something right there. You said light heavyweight could be in your future. Is that something I know obviously you don't know what's going to happen. God's going to have a lot of things go down in terms of how your body develops over the future. But
Yeah,
that would be two more weight classes going up. Obviously, you have 168 there. You got 175 plus then.
yeah.
Is that something you do see in your future then?
Yeah, I definitely see that for sure. It also depends what the opportunity that I had at the moment.
Yeah.
But we take over 160, we can then take over 68. Who knows if it's going to make sense for 75 next time.
Absolutely, man. Well, I'm definitely appreciate you taking time to come on today, man. I can't wait to see what God's got next for you, man. Keep doing your thing out there, Jahi.
Appreciate it, though. Have a good one. God bless.
You as well, man. God bless you, man. Talk to you later.
You too. Bye.
Appreciate everyone for tuning into that interview. I will get that posted up later. I'm also going to try getting the Gary Antuanne Russell interview finished up here shortly. But I appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in here. I'm going to go on a little break. Then I got some segments to get into. Talk to you guys later.
From the moment I was born, a ball was in my hands and a deep passion for sports was ignited. My dream was to play the game for as long as possible, but God had other plans. After battling with severe illnesses caused by black mold poisoning for nearly 4 years, I made the difficult decision to let go of my on-court dreams heading into my junior year of high school. However, I was determined to have one last victorious moment as an athlete, and that was achieved on February 9th, 2019, when I ran a marathon at the age of 16. That night, as I took a recovering Epsom salt bath, I felt God place on my heart the idea to start a podcast. Although I didn't know where to begin, the first episode of SchuZ Views dropped on March 11th, 2019. Over the next 1,183 days, more than 600,000 people tuned into 1,056 interviews. Then, on June 6, 2022, my final interview for over a year was released featuring Jameer Young. I never once thought that I'd be off the air for over a year, but the truth is there was something missing in me. At first, I thought creating a website would help fill that void, so I went and put together SchuZ.net, but nothing changed. Throughout the next month, I continued searching for answers, and eventually, God worked in the only way that would have gotten my attention at that point in time. Through something work-related. By the end of July 2022, my parents blessed me with the opportunity to build a studio. However, before breaking ground, the real change began. On August 3rd, 2022, my life changed forever. Once again, I happened to be taking a bath late into the night, and suddenly, an indescribable feeling came upon me. It was a profound urge to open up my Bible and read. I turned to 2 Corinthians chapter 4, and since that night, not a single day has passed without me spending time in the Word. You see, what was missing all along was Jesus. On August 6th, my dad and I began to lay the foundation for the next chapter of my career. Simultaneously, the foundation of who I was created to be was also being laid. Over the years, I had lost sight of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I knew of God, but I didn't know Him, and I certainly was not following or living like Him. But day by day, the new me began to take shape. My former self's sole priority faded away, and I began to live out the acronym I often talked about, FJTFOE. It stands for First Jesus, then Family Over Everything. God became my everything, and He transformed me entirely. He helped me rediscover my love for family, running, lifting, playing basketball, giving back, the church, and most importantly, Him. This journey began with a craving to nourish my old identity, but God's hand was always in control, rapidly shaping my new identity. As God transformed me, He also grew my relationship with every member of my family. Together they stood by me and contributed to the person I am today. Through it all, Ephesians chapter 3 verse 20 manifested its truth in my life. The blessings I received far exceeded anything I could have imagined. The truth is that God's hand has always been there, but now I'm committed to following His path. Although I may look different, and my heart has undergone a profound change, I am truly blessed to announce the beginning of a new chapter. Starting July 24th, I will be launching my new show, the SchuZ Show, which will air on my YouTube channel every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I can't wait for you guys to join me in this next chapter. I'll see you guys soon, and may God bless you all.
Welcome back, everyone, to the SchuZ Show. I'm your host, Zach SchuZ Shoemaker. So, as I said, the Gary Antuanne Russell interview conclusion. I know we only had about one more question left before his phone died. That will hopefully be done. Now, what's probably going to happen is I'm going to end the live for today, but I'm probably going to finish that up on not a live episode and then go take it and take the full episode and leave it to you guys on YouTube later on once we finish that up later on. So, gotta wait for him to get his phone charged up, and we'll probably get that last question, like I said. You guys can then check out the entire interview duration through it from start to finish, the way it's supposed to be later on when I get that posted. So I appreciate each and every single one of you guys for tuning in today. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and God bless you guys. Have a great rest of you guys' night.